la session qui consiste aujourd'hui, ça c'est aujourd'hui 11, ça c'est 11 jours en mois juillet pour l'année 2023. Nous voulons pas anti-apologie puisque nous avons commencé bien tard aujourd'hui. Nous avons commencé à 10h, mais ici, mercredi, qui a commencé tout à l'heure. Moi, ici, et puis un camarade, avec un collègue en GIS, ça c'est Virgile Leonti, et je me dis bienvenue Virgile pour session qui constitue aujourd'hui.
Merci Michael, thank you so much.
Virgil, we are going to be discussing in the session today two motions to be presented by the Prime Minister, who is also the Minister for Finance, Economic Development, the Youth Economy, Justice and National Security. One of which is both of them, the two motions are to make amendments to the value-added tax. The Prime Minister had made the announcement during the budget, I think, that he did mention and indicate that they were going to remove the value-added tax on certain commodities to give the citizens of St. Lucia some relief.
Absolutely. So the motions, as you mentioned, is that it will be an alteration to the rate of interest on value-added tax, and it is by the draft value-added tax order will be amended and it will be placed as zero-rated goods, and as you mentioned, it is to accommodate the removal of taxes to facilitate the announcement the Prime Minister made during his budget on zero taxes on building materials. But in addition to that, there will also be some bills that will be presented.
Right, but avant nous parler à ce billes-là, premièrement, ma savation changé, Premier ministre a dit, il fait annoncement ça là qui il a commencé 1er juillet, mais il peut arriver, il a fait loi ça là pour passer en cas considéré. Alors ça là, c'est pour ça il était le gouvernement pour veiller pour commencer plus tard en l'année. Peut-être en discussion, nous allons être exactement qui temps. Mais c'est loi qui a montré que le gouvernement qui a tiré ces taxes, avec les nous dit taxes, c'est
12,5%.
Ça c'est 12,5%. Ça c'est l'argent taxe. Ça nous change de payer. Avant c'était 15%, mais ça c'est le gouvernement avant tiré. Mais il y a sous matériaux comme planche, ciment, galvanise, steel, plywood avec bagage comme ça. Moi ça c'était où ça dit c'est en anglais exactement.
Yes.
Ça y est.
Okay, so the zero-rated goods as stipulated here on the order paper would be on cement, on lumber, all articles and the related subheadings. So cement, galvanized, steel, plywood, and it is for a period of 2 years, which will commence on the first day of September 2023, and it will end on the 31st of August 2025.
Exactement, oui. Il a commencé à changer, mentionné tout à l'heure, que le gouvernement a dit au commencement qu'il a commencé le 1er juillet, mais après, il a commencé le 1er jour en septembre, ça c'est l'année ça là, avec le 31 août, l'année 2025. Okay, 31 août l'année 2025.
So it is for a period of 2 years.
Avec, il y a aussi à sous bagaille comme ça c'est il y a dit système systems
Solar.
man maternity la ni ba yo ka di an de photovoltaic system ça c'est bagay pour encourager moun pour dépenser moins à ce courant électrique là nous quoi servir à présent ça c'est comment OK à présent nous va aller au petit speaker qui a commencé session. Good start.
Let us pray. Almighty God, by whom alone kings reign and princes decree justice, and from whom alone cometh all counsel, wisdom, and understanding, we thine unworthy servants here gathered together in thy name, do most humbly beseech thee to send down thy heavenly wisdom from above, to direct and guide us all our consultations. And grant that we, having thy fear always before our eyes, and laying aside all private interests, prejudices, and partial affections, the result of all of our counsels may be to the glory of thy blessed name, the maintenance of true religion and justice, the safety, honor, and happiness of the King, the public weal, peace and tranquility of St. Lucia, and the uniting and knitting together of the hearts of all persons and estates within the same, in true Christian love and charity, one towards another, for Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Ghost be with us all evermore. Amen. Good morning, honorable members, and let me, on behalf of the Parliament, extend an apology for the delayed start, which the cause of which most members are aware.
It's on the wrong stand, so we need to put it on the cover.
Yeah, but we can continue. That is being remedied, and with the consent of the leader of government business and the Attorney General, a remedy was being found to commence whilst we await other matters. Members, I am in receipt of correspondence from the member for Vieux-Fort South, the members for Vieux-Fort South and Micoud South, advising of the unavailability to attend today's sitting as they are both currently out of state. On June 30th, 2023, the world observed the International Day of Parliamentarianism, or World Parliament Day, with the theme, Parliaments of the Planet. It was established by the United Nations General Assembly in 2018 to recognize the significance of parliamentary institutions, coinciding with the establishment of the Inter-Parliamentary Union, IPU, in 1889. And since we last met, we lost former two-time Member of Parliament for Ancillary Canaries, Ira Dovine, and I place on record the House's appreciation for his service and extend to his family our condolences. I also have to announce the passing of the wife of the former MP for Micoud South, Cassia Elias. On your behalf, I also extend condolences. On a brighter note, I am pleased to advise that the member for Vieux-Fort South has been appointed a member of the group of eminent persons, a three-person team tasked with the responsibility of assisting in finding solutions to the problems which plague our sister CARICOM country, Haiti. On behalf of the House, I applaud the member on his high appointment. Members, you will be aware that we're in the middle of the carnival season. And save for the street parade, scheduled for the 17th and 18th of this month, the winners of the various competitions have been announced. These include the person who overall reigns over the activities, Carnival Queen Shanice Butcher. Other monarchs are Calypso monarch Deshaun T. Blacks Augustine, Groovy Soca monarch, and I have been especially warned to ensure I include the following words 6 times, so you know who told me that. Arthur Allen. Power Soca monarch Imran Nodi Magua. And I know the member for Bavano in a ministerial capacity is especially pleased about this one. Intercommercial Calypso monarch Deandra Didi Ambrose. And the member for Bavano is over the moon with this one, the Panorama Champs, Courts Bavano Still Orchestra. And King and Queen, look at it in grocery, yes. And King and Queen of the bands, Giovanni Santoma from Fusion Mass and Kim Daisy from Tribe of 12, respectively. On your behalf, members, I had the distinct honor of inviting Shanice Butcher, Deshaun Augustine, Arthur Allen, Imran Magua, and Deandra Ambrose to be with us today to be recognized and to thereafter join us in the lounge. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Parliament, welcome. You want to interrupt the speaker during his announcement to say?
Mr. Speaker, the junior Calypso monarch was not mentioned. Kindly make mention of Daniel Slayer Bradley. Thank you.
I was about to say that it is hoped that the others can join us at a future date. I would also like to acknowledge the presence of law students from the University of Birmingham, our 4th cohort over the past year. I trust that your time with us will be enjoyable. Welcome. Statements from ministers. Minister for Commerce.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to join you in welcoming our Carnival Queen and various monarchs who are with us today. But I also want to take a very special moment to big up our Soufre King. Sixth time.
Super King.
Soufre King.
All right.
I also want to take this moment to express condolences to the family, to the Dovey family on the passing of the late Ira Dovey, and express condolences to Mr. Cassia Elias on the passing of his wife, and also to say add my words of welcome to the law students of the University of Birmingham. Mr. Speaker, this morning I'm going to make a statement concerning the micro loan grant facility, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to thank you and the Honorable Prime Minister and my fellow cabinet colleagues for the opportunity to present to the people of St. Lucia, and in particular the business community and its patrons, on the MSME loan grant facility, which is spearheaded by my ministry, the Ministry of Commerce, Manufacturing, Business Development, Cooperatives and Consumer Affairs. Mr. Speaker, the MSME loan facility, which was launched on March 16th this year, has resulted in a buzz of activities at the Ministry of Commerce. Entrepreneurs have demonstrated significant interest in the program since the inaugural MSME loan grant check award ceremony on April 24, 2023, where we distributed check payments to the first 6 beneficiaries under the program. This, Mr. Speaker, was the spark that ignited the flame. Mr. Speaker, through you, may I speak for a moment to the business community. Businessmen and women of St. Lucia, this government understands the hardship from COVID-19. We were aware of difficulties that you faced in accessing finance from our local financial institutions. The lending agencies' criteria for borrowing are onerous, and it is difficult for our early stage businesses, our startups, and aspiring entrepreneurs to access funds. To our women-owned entrepreneurs who are determined to find new avenues to provide for their family, this government understands your plea and had you in mind when we crafted this facility. We kept our promise of putting you first. Mr. Speaker, I am encouraged by the response of our entrepreneurs to this facility. Male and female entrepreneurs, young and not so young, pre-ventures and established business owners, all have come forward to take advantage of the benefits to be derived under the facility. Mr. Speaker, during the first cohort, which opened on March 20th and ended on May 31st, the ministry estimated that 180 applications would be received, which is equivalent to about 40% of the total target of 450 applications. However, at the closing date of May 31st this year, 501 applications were received. In particular, Mr. Speaker, on the last day, on May 31st, the ministry received 236 applications in one day. Mr. Speaker, with respect to the age of the applicants who have applied to this facility, 206 applicants are within the age range of 31 years to 40 years. 187 applicants within the age range of 41 to 50 years. And 108 applicants were within the age range of 51 years to 60 years. Additionally, the ministry received applications from 247 males and 254 females. Yes, Mr. Speaker, just over half of the applicants are female. This is encouraging in light of the project's output, and that is increasing participation and equitable access to project benefits for male and female-owned MSMEs, and enhance gender-responsive uptakes of such a facility. End of quote. Mr. Speaker, the majority of the enterprises which submitted applications, 71% to be exact, were established enterprises. They were more than 2 years in operation, followed by startups, which was less than 2 years in operation. We had 18% of the applicants. And for pre-ventures, which are operations that have not commenced, we had 11% of the applicants. It is worth noting that 355 established enterprises have applied for assistance under the facility, which is above the target of 120 that we established at the beginning. Mr. Speaker, I want to remind our pre-ventures in particular that this is an opportunity to convert ideas into businesses. Mr. Speaker, our business community forums have borne fruit. To date, the Ministry of Commerce has held 8 business fora in various constituencies across the country. And I am pleased to report that the entrepreneurs have acted. And under the first call, we have received applications from all 17 constituencies, Mr. Speaker. The entrepreneurs from Grosile are leading and have submitted 96 applications, Mr. Speaker. This is followed by Soufrière with 59 applications, Mr. Speaker. We have Castries North with 38, Babono with 33, Castries Southeast with 33, Castries South with 32, Vieux-Fort North with 25, Dennery North with 18, Ancillary Canries with 27, Vieux-Fort South with 16, Labrie 16, Choiseul with 26. So I am pleased.
Central is the Central Business District.
I am pleased, Mr. Speaker, that our entrepreneurs have responded from all parts of the country.
Very well. Very good.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to remind our entrepreneurs that the priority areas identified under this facility are manufacturing, agriculture, agro-processing, agro-tourism, and professional services. These areas were identified as priority sectors for support in recognition of their potential contribution to economic and social development. It is important to highlight that out of the 501 applications received, 370 were from businesses within these priority areas.
Wow.
Notably, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry for Agriculture and my colleague from Dennery South would be happy to know that we have received applications from 56 farmers and 41 agro-processors. This accounts for 19% of the applications received.
Very well.
And some of the sectors there: agriculture, 56, agro-processing, 41, beauty and wellness, 52, creative industries, 49, manufacturing, 71, professional services 80, restaurants 26, and we have a mix of 105, which is miscellaneous. Mr. Speaker, the level of unemployment in this country has always been of concern to my government. Given the high level of unemployment of 16.5% at the end of December 2022, it is encouraging to note that 25 of the applicants were from unemployed individuals. Mr. Speaker, this is 25 additional jobs, 25 mustard seeds which over time has the potential to grow into giant trees. This is also very encouraging as my government understands the importance of employment as an economic driver for this country. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the entrepreneurs for their responses thus far. I also want to say a special thank you to the members of the Evaluation Committee, which is chaired by Ms. Yvonne Egard, for their commitment in reviewing these applications. The Evaluation Committee has reviewed so far 150 applications and is working assiduously to review all these applications within the next 3 months. I take this opportunity to solicit the patience of applicants as we process these applications. Mr. Speaker, the St. Lucia Development Bank has disbursed over $500,000 under this facility to our entrepreneurs. This is $500,000 circulating and multiplying within our economy, which will translate to lower unemployment, greater output, higher export, earning of foreign exchange, and economic growth.
Well said, sister.
To the team at the St. Lucia Development Bank, we thank you for being a good partner. You have demonstrated the true essence of partnership.
This is a partner.
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, it would be remiss of me not to acknowledge my team at the Ministry of Commerce, headed by the Permanent Secretary, the former Director of SEDU, Mrs. Charles, and the Acting Director, Ms. Rosemary Pierre-Louis, the staff of SEDU, the staff of Commerce and Industry, and the rest of Team Commerce. It has truly been a team effort, and today I really want us to show our appreciation to Team Commerce. Mr. Speaker, let me reiterate the fact that this government has borrowed the funds from the Caribbean Development Bank for on-lending to our MSMEs. I want to say here that this is not free money, and as a ministry, we will monitor the beneficiaries as we go forward. Our business development officers from the Ministry of Commerce have been assigned to each recipient of funds under this facility and have already commenced the site visits to offer guidance and ensure the funds are used for the purpose stated in the applications. Rest assured, no effort will be spared to recover any monies disbursed if these funds are not used for the stated purpose in the application. The region is watching us. Let us not disappoint ourselves and our country. I wish to encourage all recipients to use the funds to enhance their businesses. Mr. Speaker, to lend further support to our small businesses and maximize the use of funds under the loan grant facility, my government has approved on behalf of the MSME loan grant awardees 100% waiver of custom duty on imports including fixtures and fittings approved under the facility from April 1st, 2003 to March 31st, 2024. April 1st, 2023 to March 31st, 2024. In keeping with my government's desire to promote sustainable business practices, MSME loan grants awardees will also be granted 100% duty exemption on imports of renewable energy and energy efficient equipment, devices and fittings. St. Lucia, this is your government, the government of the St. Lucia Labour Party, keeping its promise of putting you first. Mr. Speaker, let me take this opportunity to appeal to our entrepreneurs to go the extra mile, to use this assistance to create wealth, to pivot your businesses to the new level. For the discipline you exercise today will be the bridge between your goal and accomplishment. Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I will just present 2 or 3 sentences in Creole on this statement that I have. C'est ici, bonjour. Jodi a, moi ka présenter un rapport sur MSME loan programme nan, gouvernement Janir. Et moi vle di, pour à présent là, nous joindre 500 épillons applications from different places pays. Nous avons négocié la première quantité d'applications qui arrivait, sous fouillette de deuxième presque 60. Et puis, mais ça me voulait dire toute place en Saint-Lucie. En Slawé, Babono, Castries Central, Castries East, Castries North, Castries South, Castries South East, Soisey, Dennery North, Dennery South, Gozile, Laboui, Mikou North, Mikou South, Soufouye, Vieux-Fort North, Vieux-Fort South. Tout le monde à différentes places dans le pays a l'été et puis il a demandé pour assistant à bas programme ça là. Ça gouvernement a fait aussi nous l'année comité qui a aidé nous pour évaluer ces applications ça là. Et moi, je voulais demander tout le monde qui a fait l'application ça là pour nous mettre patience avec nous, quand nous commençons le travail. Ça me voulait dire, gouvernement, aussi, pour faire l'argent, on va aller mettre plus loin. Gouvernement, j'ai d'accord pour tirer ça, custom duty et puis imports à sous ces équipements, ces gens qui ont order à sous ça. So, aujourd'hui, moi, je voulais dire, nous comptons, nous joignons 500 applications. Ministre Commerce qui travaille pour plus vite possible pour garder qui nous ça fait décision à tout ça. Et moi, je voulais remercier Banque SLDB qui travaille avec nous à ce projet ça là. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Tourism, Investment, Creative Industries, Culture and Information.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think you certainly surprised all of us this morning by inviting such distinguished persons to join us in the House. And of course, without the advance notice from you, I was not able to prepare a text to circulate as is required in the deliberations of the House. But I could not help, as the minister responsible for creative industries, to stand and to show my support for the kind gesture that you made to invite the monarchs to be here with us today, and for this House to express to all the winners our absolute delight at their successes over the last few days. We've had a fantastic carnival season since it has started. And of course, now that we've ended the national events, the national competitions, Of course, we go into the final week of celebration when the private parties and all the fetes and all the other attractions that we have for Carnival would start to take place and culminate with the national parade on Monday and Tuesday. So I certainly appeal to all my parliamentary colleagues to make sure that you all attend some of the parties, whether it's Escape, whether it is the Bradford. Mr. Speaker, can I ask for your protection, Mr. Speaker, from my colleagues?
You have it.
I am grateful to the member from Castries North, the Minister for Infrastructure, for ensuring that the wall next to the comprehensive school was repaired in time, Mr. Speaker. And somebody posted on social media suggesting that that was the priority of the government to repair this wall. But Mr. Speaker, this is my takeoff for this morning. It is because those individuals do not fully appreciate the importance of the creative industry in St. Lucia, Mr. Speaker. Because they see the creatives, they see those individuals behind us as people who are just concerned with bacchanal, to behave bad on the road, to drink, to be drunk and misbehave. It is more than that. More than that. And I certainly look across to my colleague, the representative for Roselle, Mr. Speaker, and I know he will lend support to me, Mr. Speaker, when we say, Mr. Speaker, that the creative industries in St. Lucia is a significant economic and cultural activity. And Mr. Speaker, the priority that this government has given, the priority that we have given, is to make sure we increase our support to all individuals involved in the creative industries in St. Lucia. That is the priority we've given. Because we believe, Mr. Speaker, that every single one of them behind us is a talented St. Lucian who can contribute, Mr. Speaker. We believe that we need to establish a creative economy in St. Lucia. The jazz, the carnival, Journée Creole, Mr. Speaker, all those activities, if we interconnect them, if we create the linkages between them, we can actually establish a series of cultural and economic activity that can create sustainable livelihoods, Mr. Speaker. Just think about it. If you have 5 fashion shows a year, those models know they can look forward to at least 5 shows. Designers know they can look forward to 5 shows. The seamstresses look forward to 5 shows. The hairdressers, the cosmetologists, all those individuals that can start contributing to just that one single creative expression, that of fashion. And I give my thanks to the member from Soufrière, the member for Minister for Commerce, for really pushing through Exports St. Lucia, that aspect of our creative industry. But in Carnival, Mr. Speaker, we have with us, and you did indicate the different monarchs, from the Carnival Queen, who is a symbol of resilience and strength, Mr. Speaker. You know, at the pageant, the question was asked, the interview question was, what is the greatest misconception that is held about beauty pageants? And she is a statement of that misconception. Because more than just beauty, it's brains, it is character, and it is, that strength that we need in our society. I don't have to say much about Afa, Mr. Speaker. He had the creative audacity to take a break and say, I'm coming back for what belongs to me, the groovy crong, Mr. Speaker. And he came back and he proved that superb talent that he has, Mr. Speaker. And I think he made a very powerful point that he has to be a carnival ambassador for the St. Lucia Tourism Authority. He should be one, and he will be one, Mr. Speaker. You have T. Blacks, Mr. Speaker. Last year, I whispered to him that he's the future king. Don't worry for all the noise that was going on around. He's a young man of tremendous talent, Mr. Speaker. And I knew he had that quality in him, just the way he handled all the issues that were surrounding him last year. He was not arrogant, he was not flustered, he was not angry, he was not bitter. He took it in stride. And he came this year and he made the most powerful statement by winning the Calypso Monarch. So, Mr. Speaker, that is a statement of what we are capable of achieving in St. Lucia. the intercommercial queen. I heard her perform that night, and I really thought she was a seasoned, experienced performer, the way she dropped that song on that night. And I asked her earlier, have you ever sung in a competition before? And she said no. I can tell you, if she gets better than she was at the intercommercial, then a lot of people have to be worried. T-Blacks have to be worried for the Calypso Monarch speaker, because she did it. And you know what was interesting? I was on the stage when we gave her a trophy. Her little daughter came and joined her, and the daughter was singing the song better than her. So, Mr. Speaker, that. And of course, nerdy Mr. Speaker, when you see him perform, you hear how he moves the crowd. He belongs on the international stage. He does. You know, we've had Teddy St. John, we have Ricky T, we've had many of the guys that have gone beyond our boundaries, our borders, Mr. Speaker. But when you see him perform, don't mind his humble and assuming way. He takes charge of the crowd and he performs, Mr. Speaker. I must tell him, my favorite for the night was Jacques Rosillet, but there was no doubt in my mind after he performed that he should win, Mr. Speaker. And he is a talent, Mr. Speaker. And I give all of them the assurance that this government treats the creative industry as a priority. We've invested a lot of money, and we will invest even more, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that our young people in St. Lucia who have that dream that they do not necessarily think of being a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, but they believe that they can express their creative talents and make a livelihood out of it. This government stands with you and will support you, Mr. Speaker. So thank you very much for bringing... Huh? No, we ain't clocking out there. We have some bills to pass. We're not clocking out. You have some bills to pass. So yeah. Somebody else clock out. But anyway. Yeah. No, he did model on one occasion. You remember that? Yeah. So, yeah. All right, Mr. Speaker, thank you so very much for inviting our creatives here. Thank you very much.
Papers to be laid, Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Economic Development, the Youth Economy, Justice and National Security.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers standing in my name. Starting instrument number 51 of 2023, suppression of escalated crime, police powers, designation of Beaufort South as an escalated crime area, number 2 order. Starting instrument number 52 of 2023, public finance management regulations. Starting instrument number 53 of 2023, money laundering prevention regulations. Starting instrument number 54 of 2023, money laundering prevention guidance notes revocation regulations. Starting instrument number 55 of 2023, money laundering prevention declaration of source of funds forms revocation regulations. Starting instrument number 56 of 2023, money laundering prevention guidelines for conducting other business activity revocation regulations. Starting instrument number 57 of 2023, fiscal incentives, Glass Motors Limited amendment order. Starting instrument number 63 of 2023, excise tax amendment of schedule 1 number 8 order. Starting instrument number 64 of 2023, Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court Civil Procedure Rules revised edition 2023. Starting instrument number 69 of 2023, Public Finance Management Act, resolution of Parliament to establish the Anti-Crime Initiative Fund. Starting instrument number 70 of 2023, National Savings and Development Bonds Act, resolution of Parliament to raise funds by the issue of savings bonds. Starting instrument number 73 of 2023, Excise Tax Amendment Schedule number 9 order. Starting instrument number 74 of 2023, Value-Added Tax, others eligible for tax refund amendment order.
Prime Minister, you missed 68. You missed statutory instrument 68.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Starting instrument number 68 of 2023, legal profession eligibility, Tia Crentin Simon Francis order.
Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Tourism, Investment, Creative Industries, Culture and Information.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers standing in my name. Statutory Instrument Number 58 of 2023, Tourism Incentives Amaldale Apartments Order. Statutory Instrument Number 59 of 2023, Tourism Stimulus and Investment, Almondale Apartments Order. Statutory Instrument Number 60 of 2023, Tourism Stimulus and Investment, Steph's St. Lucia Limited Order. Statutory Instrument Number 61 of 2023, Tourism Incentives, Seaspray Cruises Limited Order. Statutory Instrument Number 65 of 2023, Tourism Incentives, Prugas Palace Order. Statutory Instrument Number 66 of 2023, Tourism Stimulus and Investment, Kimitrai Hotel Order. Statutory Instrument Number 67 of 2023, Tourism Stimulus and Investment, Iolona Properties Inc. Amendment Order. Statutory Instrument Number 71 of 2023, Tourism Incentives, Island ATV Limited Order.
Minister for Infrastructure on behalf of Minister for Commerce.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the following papers standing in the name of the Minister for Commerce. Statutory Instrument Number 62 of 2023, Price Control Amendment Number 8 Order. Statutory Instrument Number 72 of 2023, Price Control Amendment Number 9 Order.
Motions. Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Economic Development, Youth Economy, Justice and National Security.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the following motion standing in my name. Whereas it is provided under Section 33(2) of the Value Added Tax, Cap 15.4 to the Act, that the Ministerial for Finance may by order alter the rate of interest in relation to tax payable under the Act. And whereas it is further provided under Section 43(2) of the Act that an order made pursuant to Section 33(2) of the Act is subject to an affirmative resolution of the House. And whereas the Minister of Finance seeks approval of the draft value-added tax alteration of rate of interest order by an affirmative resolution of the House to alter from the first day of May 2023 to the first day of May 2024 the rate of interest to 0% on the tax paid up to the financial year 2021. Be it resolved that the House, by affirmative resolution, approves the value-added tax alteration of rate of interest order, which alters from the first day of May 2023 to the first day of May 2024 the rate of interest to 0% on the tax paid up to the financial year of 2021. Mr. Speaker, before I make my contribution to this resolution, I'd like to join the lantern is on. Before I make my contribution, Mr. Speaker, to this resolution, I'd like to join the Deputy Prime Minister and the member for Soufrière and yourself, Mr. Speaker, to welcome our visitors this morning or this afternoon to this Honorable House, Mr. Speaker. As I said to them privately, Mr. Speaker, that the whole purpose of the youth economy was to create that environment for people with their skills, with the people with their talents, to go into businesses so they can monetize their obvious talent that they have, Mr. Speaker. And I want to invite them to visit the youth economy so that they can have a discussion with the officers to see how we can create their talent, we can convert their talent into a business, Mr. Speaker. So when I leave politics, I probably can get employed by one of them, Mr. Speaker, as something, because I used to have these management skills a long time ago. I want to congratulate them, Mr. Speaker, and invite them to try to bring their talents to what they call the higher heights, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this resolution is a fulfillment of a promise which I made in the budget address of the 25th of April 2023, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in that address, I said that we knew or we understood that businesses suffered from the COVID pandemic. And we understood that there was need to create a stimulus for them, particularly in the issues as they relate to the cash flow, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, I want to make it abundantly clear that VAT is a transaction tax, and it is collected on behalf of the government. The consumer pays the VAT. The business collects it, and after 21 days, the VAT is supposed to be given back to the government. It is not paid by the business, is not paid by the owner, but it is paid by the consumer, Mr. Speaker. And that is a very important point to make, Mr. Speaker. It's a refund, the VAT is paid, and the consumer pays the VAT, and when the calculations are made, the government gets the difference, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, withholding VAT payments to the government is not a good practice. It is not a good practice, but, Mr. Speaker, the government understood or understands that particularly after COVID, businesses had cash flow problems. Cash flow problems, Mr. Speaker, that were not of their own making, Mr. Speaker. Although if you listen to the opposition, they'll make you believe that COVID was caused by this government. But that's for another show, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, not only are we saying that during COVID there was an excuse, but before COVID, there was no excuse why VAT was not refunded to the government after the calculations. And I want to add very quickly, Mr. Speaker, that there are some times when the government owes the business VAT, a VAT refunds, Mr. Speaker, and we will ensure that if businesses pay in a timely basis, government will refund in a timely basis. So, Mr. Speaker, there was a total of $299 million worth of interest due on VAT payments, on late VAT payments. $299 million. And the government decided $299 million, Mr. Speaker, due on interest payments to the government, Mr. Speaker. Out of that, 65 million was for VAT. 65 million. So the government decided that to stimulate growth, to help in the cash flow of these businesses, because, Mr. Speaker, the $65 million in interest that was due on VAT ought to be paid. It should be paid, and the government to take measures to cause it to be paid, as has happened in other countries. But the government believed that in the interest of development, in the interest of giving some support to these businesses, in the interest of saying we are in this thing together, in the interest of saying, listen to me, let us, we will tell you, we will say to you, do not pay that money, but you can reinvest it, you can pay some of your bills, you can develop your business. The government has waived for VAT payments due $65 million, Mr. Speaker. And we hope that businesses work with us, businesses work with the government and pay the arrears of VAT. We're going to waive the interest today. We're going to come next week to waive the penalties. So all we are asking is you pay what you owe the government minus, in that case, minus interest. Mr. Speaker, that in itself is a stimulus. That in itself is an indirect injection of funds into the economy, because that money can be used for reinvestment and to increase employment and for business expansion, Mr. Speaker. So that is another of the promises that we've made, that we've kept, Mr. Speaker. And that comes together with the fact that we have increased the threshold for income tax to $25,000. Anybody in St. Lucia who gets less than $25,000 a year pays no income tax, an increase from $18,000 where it was before. So we have given support, in that case an amnesty to the people who owe VAT, and in the case of the regular income owner, we have said that your first $25,000 you pay no income tax, Mr. Speaker. And that not only benefits the people who get less than $25,000, it benefits everyone, because in the calculation of your tax, you exclude the first $25,000. So if you get $30,000 per year, you only pay tax on $5,000. As before, if you had got $30,000 a year, you pay tax on $12,000. So if you get $50,000 a year, you only pay tax on $25,000. So that $25,000 tax exemption does not only help the person who gets $25,000 and less, it helps everyone, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, that is another example of how this government intends to grow the economy. These are the creative strategies that we use to grow the economy, Mr. Speaker, and to give businesses a new lease of life, or different lease of life, Mr. Speaker. These are the facts, Mr. Speaker. And I want the public of St. Lucia to listen to the facts and understand the issues, Mr. Speaker, so we can rid ourselves of the propaganda and the lies that are peddled in this country every day, Mr. Speaker. These are the facts. A government waiving $65 million of interest in the first instance, and we will come next week to waive the penalties, Mr. Speaker, for people who did not pay the VAT. Who did not pay the VAT, we're going to waive it so we can start. And I'm saying to the business owners that please work together with the government so that we can enjoy prosperity for all and the businesses can have a new lease of life, because that's body, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I will deal with a letter that I got from the leader of the opposition. I will deal with it later when he spoke about the balance sheet of businesses, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I don't know if the leader of the opposition understands that when you waive $25 million of payables, you know, Mr. Speaker, they just make statements without any sense. We are waiving $25 million of payables on the balance sheets of these businesses, because that VAT due had to be shown in the balance sheet as an accounts payable, either a short-term accounts payable or long-term accounts payable or long-term liability, Mr. Speaker. We are waiving it, so we are strengthening these balance sheets, Mr. Speaker, so that the businesses can have a new lease of life, and when they go to borrow money, and their balance sheets can look better, Mr. Speaker. So that's another means in which we are improving the balance sheets of these businesses, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I would encourage members to support this resolution, Mr. Speaker, because it really is direct assistance to businesses, Mr. Speaker. And let us stop the lies and the fabrications that exist in just to create disunity, to create an atmosphere of fear, an atmosphere of insecurity in this country, Mr. Speaker, only because the people of St. Lucia decided that they wanted the St. Lucia Labour Party as the government of St. Lucia, Mr. Speaker. That's the only reason why, Mr. Speaker. Only because of that reason, Mr. Speaker. All sorts of lies and malignment and propaganda and all kinds of falsities on Facebook and social media, only because, Mr. Speaker, they cannot accept the reality that this government won 15 out of the 17 seats 13 plus 2 is 15, Mr. Speaker. And I hope my math is right. Because so Mr. Speaker, that is the reality. 13 plus 2. And I heard somewhere that that's a small majority. I mean, Mr. Speaker, you know, I played that tape to my colleagues. Yeah. I will tell you what he said. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yeah.
Honourable members, the question is that the House, by affirmative resolution, approves the value-added tax alteration of rate of interest order, which alters from the first day of May 2023 to the first day of May 2024, the rate of interest to 0% on the tax paid up to the financial year of 2021. Member for Suzel Saltibus.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise just to make a very brief contribution to this motion. There are people with the school of thought that when you're in opposition, you should always oppose, Mr. Speaker. However, Mr. Speaker, you know, it's commendable when a government tries to, you know, spur, you know, the payment of outstanding monies due to government. But there is one element I thought that the Minister of Finance and the Prime Minister should have included to encourage, you know, economic activity and particularly to protect the employees. This is directed at the employers, Mr. Speaker, but I thought that he should have included either a sort of a benefit when they're filing the tax returns, that if they could retain some of the employees, that, you know, they could have even gotten further discounts, because what we have seen, Mr. Speaker, is quite a few of the employers releasing employees, and there's no recourse. So in terms of protecting employees, I thought that we would have an additional caveat in terms of encouraging the employers to settle their balances with the discounts that the government is giving, but on condition that they can retain some of the employees that they have since sent up. So, Mr. Speaker, it is a good initiative to encourage employers to pay outstanding monies to the government, but I just thought we should go a step further to also protect employees who may be at the other end of being sent home without similar benefits. Thank you.
The member for Labrie.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving me leave to make just a brief intervention on this very important motion. I think the motion proposed by the Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Economic Development, and Youth Economy, Justice, and National Security to this Honorable House is as follows. Be it resolved that the House, by affirmative resolution, approves the value-added tax alteration rate of interest order, which alters the rate of interest on the tax paid up to the financial year of 2021 during the period commencing from the first day of May 2023 and terminating on the first day of May 2024 to 0% of the tax paid. Mr. Speaker, in his budget policy statement for fiscal year 2023-2024, the Prime Minister and Minister for Finance informed this Honorable House that 3,169 taxpayers owed $600 million in taxes, fines, penalties, and interest. He further advised, Mr. Speaker, that in the majority of cases, these taxes are being collected on behalf of employees and the government of St. Lucia. Mr. Speaker, we were informed that a total of $175 million in VAT and related penalties and interest are due on value-added tax deductions. I am sure that we will all agree with the Prime Minister and Minister for Finance that government should strengthen its ability to collect these taxes, as it hinders government's ability to meet its own commitments. And as you know, Mr. Speaker, we are not in ordinary times. The Prime Minister and Minister for Finance took over this country whilst we were still grappling with the objective reality of COVID. And he, whilst presiding over the orderly recovery of the economy, we are yet to get back to pre-COVID GDP levels. As we were trying to plan the post-COVID trajectory, in comes the war in Ukraine, Mr. Speaker, that drove up the prices of oil, and of course interest rates and the inflationary pressures, Mr. Speaker. So therefore, in an effort to ensure the continued prudent management of the economy and to encourage taxpayers to settle the taxes, the Minister for Finance proposed that for the following categories of taxes, namely hotel accommodation tax, pay-as-you-earn hotel accommodation tax, all-inclusives, other withholding taxes, and value-added tax, the waiver of all penalties, interest, and fines if the taxes are paid by May 1st, 2024. This resolution, Mr. Speaker, provides for the rate of interest payable on the tax paid up to the financial year of 2021 during the period commencing from the first day of May 2023 and terminating on the first day of May 2024 to 0% of the tax paid. This, in effect, provides a waiver of the interest on the value-added tax. This is consistent, Mr. Speaker, with the general policy pronounced by the Prime Minister and Minister for Finance on extending the waiver of interest, penalties, and fines on taxes up to May 1st, 2024. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, it's very easy for anybody, including a Martian, to agree that we need to support this motion, support the Prime Minister as he continues to put our national house in order to continue to deliver to the people of this country, in keeping with our manifesto promise to put people first. And no doubt, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is on course. And of course, during this year, when we return to this honorable house during budget time, we shall have tremendous success in putting back this economy on track, because we all know that a stable macroeconomic framework is necessary to address the pressing but legitimate needs of the people of this country. And so I commend the Prime Minister for presenting this motion, and I give my fullest support, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the member for Shrewsbury, Mr. Speaker, for his suggestion. It's something we can deal with, but for the time being, we are relying on the goodwill of the private sector, Mr. Speaker. But it's a suggestion that I thank him for, Mr. Speaker, and it's something we can work with at some other point. But I thank him for that, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, the question is that the House, by affirmative resolution, approves the value-added tax alteration of rate of interest order, which alters from the first day of May 2023 to the first day of May 2024, the rate of interest to 0% on the tax paid up to the financial year of 2021. I now put the question. As many as of that opinion say aye. As many as have a contrary opinion say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the following motion standing in my name. Whereas under section 1091A of the value added tax, cap 15.4 to the Act, it is provided that the Minister of Finance may, by order published in the Gazette, amend the schedules to the Act. And whereas it is further provided that under section 1092 of the Act, that an order made pursuant to section 1091 of the Act is subject to an affirmative resolution of Parliament, except where the amendment is to the customs tariff headings only. And whereas the Minister of Finance seeks approval of the draft value added tax amendment of Schedules 1 and 3 order to amend Schedule 1 and Schedule 3 of the Act by an affirmative resolution of Parliament to include, in the case of Schedule 1, as zero rated goods for a period of 2 years, commencing from the 2nd day of August 2023 and ending on the 1st day of August 2025, a supply of goods under the following customs tariff headings. A. 44.07 to 44.12 lumber, all articles inclusive and their related subheadings. B. 25.23 cement, specified articles and related subheadings. C. 72.00 to 72.09 galvanized, 73.00 to 73.08 galvanized, another type of galvanized, 73.12 to 73.18, 76.00 to 76.10, 76.16 and related subheadings. 73.06 to 73.14 steel of all articles, 72.14 and related subheadings, and 72.08 and related subheadings. E. 44.11 to 44.18 plywood, all articles, 44.20 to 44.21. F. 96.19 sanitary towels, pads and tampons, napkins and similar articles of any materials. 2. For a period of 2 years, commencing from 2nd day of August 2023 and ending on 1st day of August 2025, a supply of components of photovoltaic systems intended solely for harnessing solar power under the following customs tariff. A. 8502.39 complete system. B. 8541.40 solar panels. C. 8504.40 charge controllers and inverters. D. 8536.70 MC4 connectors. E. 7610 to 9090 solar panel mounts. 8536.50 cables insular switches. 8537.10 combiner boxes. 8544.601 direct current DC alternative current AC cables. 8507.8 8507.6 deep cycle batteries. J. 8536.9 battery clamps. K. 9032.8900 control devices, other DC AC components. L. 8537.1000 combiners. M. 8536.9000 junction boxes. 9. 8536.5000 insulators. O. 8536.300 protective devices communication devices. 8471 9000 DTAC loggers. 9032 to 8900 control components. 8517 to 6900 communication cabling Ethernet switches. 3. For a period of 2 years, commencing from the 2nd day of August 2023 and ending on the 1st day of August 2025, a supply of the installation service for photovoltaic system. B. In the case of Schedule 3, as an exempt import for a period of 2 years, commencing from the 2nd day of August 2023 and ending on the 1st day of August 2025, the purchase or lease of an aircraft for local or regional travel. 2. Vehicles, building, construction, materials, machinery, plant and equipment by approved contractors, subcontractors and consultants for the Caribbean Regional Air Transport Connectivity Project. 3. Vehicles, building and construction materials, machinery, plant and equipment by approved contractors and subcontractors and consultants for St. Jude Hospital Reconstruction Project, including medical equipment and supplies. Be it resolved that the Parliament, by affirmative resolution, approves the draft value-added tax amendment of Schedules 1 and 3 order, which amends Schedule 1 and Schedule 3 of the Act to include, in the case of Schedule 1, as zero-rated goods for a period of 2 years, commencing from the 2nd day of August 2023 and ending on the 1st day of August 2025, a supply of goods under the following custom tariff headings. 4407 to 4412, lumber, all articles inclusive and their related subheadings. B. 25.23, cement, specified articles and related subheadings. C. 7200, 7209, galvanized. 7300 to 7308, 7312 to 73.18, 76.00 to 76.10, 76.16 and related subheadings. D. 73.06 to 73.14, steel, all articles. 7214 and related subheadings, and 72.08 and related subheadings. E. 44.11 to 44.18, plywood, all articles. 44.20 to 44.21, 96.19, sanitary towels, napkins and tampons, napkins and similar articles of any materials. 2. For a period of 2 years, commencing from the 2nd day of August 2023 and ending on the 1st day of August 2025, a supply of components for photovoltaic systems intended solely for harnessing solar power under the following customs tariff headings. 85.02.39, complete system. 85.41.40, solar panels. 85.04.40, charge controllers and inverters. 85.36.70, MC4 connectors. 761.9090, solar panel mounts. 8536.50, cable insulator switches. 8537.10, combiner boxes. 8544.601, direct cable DC, alternate current AC cables. 85.80 to 8507.80, 8507.60, deep cycle batteries. 8536.90, battery clamps. 9032.8900, control devices, other DC and AC components. 8537.100, combiners. 8536.900, junction boxes. 8536.500, insulators. 8536.3000, protective devices, communication devices. 8471.9000, detail loggers. 9032.0 8517.8900. Control components 8517.6900. Communicating Ethernet switches for a period of 2 years, commencing from the 2nd day of August 2023 and ending on the 1st day of August 2025. A supply of the installation service of photovoltaic systems. In the case of Schedule 3, as an exempt import for a period of 2 years, commencing from the 2nd day of August 2023 and ending on the 1st day of August 2025, the purchase or lease of an aircraft for local and regional travel. 2. The import of vehicles, buildings and construction materials, machinery, plant and equipment by approved contractors, subcontractors and consultants for the Caribbean Regional Air Transport Connectivity Project. And 3. Vehicles, building and construction materials, machinery, plant and equipment by approved contractors, subcontractors and consultants for the St. Jude Hospital Reconstruction Project, including medical equipment and supplies. Mr. Speaker, this is another of the promises that we made to the public of St. Lucia in my budget of the 24th of April, Mr. Speaker, where we promised, Mr. Speaker, that we would incentivize the construction industry in St. Lucia. We promised the public of St. Lucia that we would give the young people, we would give the people who have been longing to build their houses, or will give people that belong to make improvements in the house, Mr. Speaker, we will give them a break, Mr. Speaker. What this resolution means, Mr. Speaker, is from the 2nd of August, VAT of 12.5% will not be payable on building materials like lumber, all types of lumber, Mr. Speaker, steel, all types of steel, galvanized and cement, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, if you know a little about construction, you would know, Mr. Speaker, that the bulk of costs in the beginning in construction is on steel, cement, and lumber, Mr. Speaker. Plus the fact that the cost of blocks, of concrete blocks, should decrease because cement, that's a major component of concrete blocks, the price of cement will be decreased, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, what this means is that the VAT, and I think I brought, Mr. Speaker, an invoice somewhere for you to see, Mr. Speaker, that if the cost of materials that you buy to build your house, cement, lumber, steel, and plywood, Mr. Speaker, if the total comes to $2,000, Mr. Speaker, the total before 2nd of August, you would have to pay an addition 12.5% on the $2,000, on the total price of the goods. You'd have to pay an additional 12.5%, Mr. Speaker. But with the removal of that, when you get your invoice, that 12.5% will not be there, and you will not be required to pay that 12.5%, Mr. Speaker. This means that even if the cost of these imported goods increase, in the final analysis, you ought to pay 12.5% less than you would have paid previously before we remove the VAT on these items, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, that is a very significant point to make, and that is a point I want the public of St. Lucia to understand, because the prophets of doom and gloom and lies and untruths, Mr. Speaker, will try to peddle it differently. I'll make the point again. Even if the cost of these goods increase, even if they increase, at the end of the day, before August the 2nd, you have had to pay 12.5% more. With the removal of VAT, with the zero rating on VAT, you'll have to pay 12 and you will not have to pay the 12.5%. So you'll make a savings of 12.5% even if the price increases. So, Mr. Speaker, I really hope, Mr. Speaker, that businesses work with us, Mr. Speaker. We have shown goodwill. We are going to increase the tax amnesty. We're going to increase the time period for the tax amnesty. We've reduced interest on VAT, Mr. Speaker. We've said to you, if you owe us tax, we waive all the interest and the penalties for the tax that you owe us, Mr. Speaker. We are showing, Mr. Speaker, I can say, without fear or favor, that this government of the Ministerial Party has been the best government for business for a long time. So all the talk here about this government is a government that taxes. We, Mr. Speaker, we understand the private sector. We give the most generous incentives to the private sector. We passed the Tourism Incentives Act that give generous concessions to the private sector, and I've been told by the minister that we are going to look into a mega business act to further incentivize, Mr. Speaker, businesses in St. Lucia that make a large investment. Today, you heard the Minister for Commerce tell about the medium and small, micro and small business grants of $10 million. First time in the history of St. Lucia, Mr. Speaker. You heard about the youth economy, and the Caribbean Development Bank has just given us the go-ahead. They're going to be investing by means of loans $6 million in the youth economy, Mr. Speaker. And colleagues from all over the region are coming to look at what we're doing in the youth economy, Mr. Speaker. This government has worked in the private sector, and this government, I can say without fear or favor, we never asked any businessman what's in it for me under the table. And in our discussions with investors, Mr. Speaker, they tell the stories, but Mr. Speaker, time will tell. Because right now, Mr. Speaker, they think they have a new lease of life. So they're talking, social media, talking, political meeting, this and that, demonstration, Caroline, come to the house. How can I know, Mr. Speaker? But time will tell. And Mr. Speaker, I have warned them. And they do it again all the time. They underestimate the capacity of the St. Lucia Labour Party. They underestimate our resolve, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I'll tell you a story about the cabinet yesterday, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, yesterday I felt proud to be a member of the St. Lucia Labour Party, Mr. Speaker. Very proud. You know why, Mr. Speaker? I saw the men and women in the cabinet spend more than 2 hours discussing an incentive for small contractors, Mr. Speaker. People that would have been normally disregarded. People that would be called, but you remember the statement, Mr. Speaker? What's the track record? Who is she? Remember the statement? Who is she? Where's the track record? What has she done? She's a non-entity. Remember that statement, Mr. Speaker? But we spend hours discussing how we can help non-entities. And that is the philosophical difference between the St. Lucia Labour Party and the other parties in St. Lucia movement. And we are proud of that philosophical difference. We are very proud of it. Although some people who ought to know better, who ought to have that same philosophical underpinning that would guide their direction in life, Mr. Speaker. But because they suffer from so much self-hate, because they suffer from the fact that people like them are now the makers and movers in the political life of Mr. Speaker. They prefer to spew out all kinds of anger and all kinds of hatred, Mr. Speaker, because they refuse to accept. They refuse to accept, Mr. Speaker, to give people like them time and a means to run this country, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, we are not going to be deterred, Mr. Speaker. I will not be deterred. You know why I will not be deterred, Mr. Speaker? Because I have a vision for St. Lucia, where every man and woman, particularly those who are most vulnerable, have an equal opportunity to achieve in this country, Mr. Speaker. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, and that is why they will not understand why this government is removing VAT on a simple item. You will hear the naysayers and the prophets of doom and the barons of misinformation. You will hear them make a joke of it, Mr. Speaker. But it's a simple and a significant step on the 96.19, Mr. Speaker. Sanitary towels and napkins and similar articles of any materials, Mr. Speaker. And, Mr. Speaker, those who do not know it will not feel it, because they don't care. They don't care because they've never felt it. But go to parts of my constituency, go to parts of Castries South or Castries North, or even Ansari Candies, Mr. Speaker. Go to these parts and you'll hear about something called period poverty. And Mr. Speaker, you know, these are the things that are significant, Mr. Speaker. These are the things, Mr. Speaker. So what we're doing, Mr. Speaker, there are many single mothers, not single mothers who will be castigated, not single mothers single mothers who are castigated, who were castigated by the leader of the opposition, who were called all kinds of names, Mr. Speaker. Single mothers who want to bring up their children in a respectable way, Mr. Speaker. And they have to make a choice, Mr. Speaker. A choice at certain times of the month of whether they must buy food for their children or they must buy sanitary napkins. That is the reality of life for many people in this country. But you know what, Mr. Speaker? Because of selfishness, because of a sense of entitlement, because of a feeling that it must be them or nobody else, because they believe they have a God-given right to run this country, they will lie and they will try to confuse the people of St. Lucia, Mr. Speaker, as far as that's concerned. So, Mr. Speaker, this resolution will, in a holistic fashion, help people to look for the shelter, Mr. Speaker. And there's a thing in sociology called the hierarchy of wants, Mr. Speaker, or needs. The hierarchy of needs, Mr. Speaker. But Maslow hierarchy of needs, Mr. Speaker. And there he spoke about the need for food, shelter, and clothing, Mr. Speaker. And in one swipe, we're trying to deal with all of them, Mr. Speaker. One swipe. So, Mr. Speaker, this removal of VAT on building materials is not because we want people going to eat plywood. It's not because of that. And these are the kind of things that people promote on the radio. Eat plywood. No, Mr. Speaker, it will help a single mother who wants to stop the leak on a house. It will help her to pay 12.5% less for 2 sheets of galvanized, Mr. Speaker. That's what it will do. It will help the teacher and the policeman who want to put an extension on their home because their family is growing. It will help them to buy their cement cheaper. It will help them to buy their steel cheaper, Mr. Speaker. It will help them to buy their plywood cheaper. It will help them to buy their galvanized cheaper. That's what this does, Mr. Speaker. That's what it does. That's what it does. What it does, Mr. Speaker, is it says to the man and woman in this country that the government is assisting you. The government is assisting you to be a man and to be a woman, Mr. Speaker, to have a share, to have a stake in your own destiny, Mr. Speaker. That is what this simple resolution is saying, Mr. Speaker. That's what it's saying. And it also is saying that if you want to build a hotel or you want to build a factory, whilst you wait for the other incentives, Mr. Speaker, you can begin, because you have to pay 12.5% less on the construction materials needed to start up that business, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, this is significant. It's a major step in the economic and social evolution of this country. Major. Major step, Mr. Speaker. Major. And, Mr. Speaker, whilst we're doing that, we also seen about the infrastructure. We also about Mr. Speaker, because we are saying that there is a project for the resurfacing, a World Bank project for the resurfacing of the Ionora airports. And Mr. Speaker, we'll come to the Parliament very shortly with a full disclosure on the Ionora airport, Mr. Speaker. But there's a project for the resurfacing of the Ionora airport, a World Bank project, so we are giving them, we are removing VAT on the imports, Mr. Speaker. But more importantly, Mr. Speaker, why would somebody deliberately spread that work on St. Jude has stopped?
Why?
Why would somebody, in their good sense, Mr. Speaker, because you have lost an election, bon Dieu, ou já ped. Ou ça fait sauver, ou já ped. Why? Why would somebody spread misinformation that work on St. Jude had stopped? And a contractor whom they vilified, now they support them because he say he takes his equipment and he goes. A contractor they vilified, you know. And that's a sad thing with the opposition. One day they're on this corner, next day on the other corner. One day somebody good, another the person turns bad. Once the person speaks the truth, the person turns bad. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to assure the public that I feel better now about St. Jude than I ever felt before. I feel better now about St. Jude than I ever felt before. You know why, Mr. Speaker? Because I see the end in the horizon. I see the day. I see the day, Mr. Speaker, when we will say to the patients and the staff of St. Jude, we apologize for what you went through from since 2011, and we usher you into brand new premises so you can continue your service to the people of St. Lucia, Mr. Speaker. And that is going to be a wonderful day, Mr. Speaker. So regardless of what they tried, Mr. Speaker, you want to believe that this opposition is trying to push a contractor to have an injunction to stop work on St. Jude because they say the contractor didn't pay the subcontractor? That's where these guys have reached, you know, Mr. Speaker. That's where these guys are. And they posture on television and radio pretending. Like I heard one of them talking about crime, and the Minister of Home Affairs and National Security should resign, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there are all kinds of crimes that have been committed in this country that go unresolved, including kidnapping. All kinds of crimes. So, Mr. Speaker, when they want to throw stones, tell them those who live in glass houses should never throw stones. Mr. Speaker, they have taken our silence for weakness. They have taken our silence for believing we can roll over and die. Mr. Speaker, you know why we have not been dealing with that nonsense that goes for opposition? Because we are busy running the country. But if they believe that they can continue their falsehoods and their propaganda and we lie down die, Mr. Speaker, I tell them they have another thing going. Because everything they say, everything they attack the government for, they have done worse. And when we begin to debate the health and security level, I will prove to you, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm very happy to be associated with this revolution today, Mr. Speaker. Very happy. I feel buoyed. I feel encouraged, Mr. Speaker. And what's most important, Mr. Speaker, is the people understand what this government is doing. The people understand it. So when they try to have demonstrations and they make a lot of fuss, Mr. Speaker, you know, Mr. Speaker, desperation is a real serious thing, you know. When you see suffer from desperation, especially when you lose power, and you don't want to sit down and regroup, and you get desperate, you cling on all kinds of things. There was a big story. Philip J. Pierre attacked elderly people and a big story. A big story. I must apologize to elderly people, Mr. because they say I said something about elderly people. All I was saying is that you should not take advantage on elderly people, Mr. Speaker, by bringing them on the streets when you know very well you bring them for no cause. That's all I said, and I stand by that.
That's right. That's right.
That's all I said, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, they attacked St. Lucia going to a referendum, and I'm glad the member was not there. I applaud him for that. He could not put in his good conscience, a progressive man like that could not help himself to be a part of people who, but of course, Mr. Speaker, he didn't associate himself with colonization, had a conscience. He did not. But, let him pass for that. And Mr. Speaker, the demonstration for the CCJ failed. They planned a big demonstration today for the health and security level. A big demonstration, Mr. Speaker. Why is it? Instead of staying here and defend this cause, he ran away. Same thing as usual. Then, next day he'll come, go on his favorite radio program and nonsense. Come here, sit down and debate the health and security level. Come and debate it. Come and debate the VAT cut. Come and defend. Come and defend this thing. Come and defend it, Mr. Speaker. Come and defend the open letter to the Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, when the debate comes, I'm going to deal with that letter line for line. And I will tell you, the basic student of economics would be ashamed of the writer of this letter. Because the contents of this letter do not stand up to any tenets of regular economics or anything. It's just a whole lot of envy, a whole lot of misinformation, a whole lot of refusal to accept that the people of St. Lucia have taken a decision. And when you say that, Mr. Speaker, they tell you, oh, you're only attacking this. Nobody sees the calumny. Nobody sees the disrespect. Nobody sees the lies. Nobody sees the malignment. Nobody sees what they do to us every day. But anytime we respond, oh, you this and that. Yeah. Mr. Speaker, I urge members, Mr. Speaker, to look at the VAT. We are removing the VAT on all the components and the subcomponents, Mr. Speaker, on the photovoltaic systems, which are systems that will cause us to convert solar power into power that will cause us not to have to use electricity or fossil fuels in the same manner as we would without that. Again, another revolutionary step, Mr. Speaker, because something, Mr. Speaker, I'm sure is very close to the Minister of Education, the issue of climate change, Mr. Speaker, and the issue of how we have to keep the world to the 1.5 degrees centigrade, Mr. Speaker. We have already passed that. It has already been said that we will not meet the 1.5%, Mr. Speaker. And the serious things we have to discuss, like climate change, like the way rainfall, the kinds of weather, where there is no sequence in weather, there is no dry season or there is no wet season. Rain falls at some point, then there's a drought, then in one day you have hot, the sun is very hot, then rain falls in the afternoon. The climate change, Mr. Speaker, the effects of climate change, the mitigation and the adaptation methods we have to take for climate change, that is nowhere in the debates. That's nowhere in the debate, Mr. Speaker. But we have to deal with that. We have to discuss disaster clauses when we go to negotiate for loans. We have to negotiate that, Mr. We have to negotiate. These are the issues we have to deliver as a government and issues we have to deliver country. Not nonsense. These are the issues, and these are the issues I want the opposition to come and discuss. How do we mitigate and adapt against climate change? How do we do that? How do we sit and decide that the government must take steps to cause us to take steps that will help make our agriculture sustainable after weather events? And you saw what the Minister of Agriculture said, Mr. Speaker, a little rain event, over 70% of our banana crop got wiped out, Mr. Speaker. These are the issues. That's what we want to discuss. And these are the issues that a government on opposition that is serious. These are the issues that they discuss, and these are the issues that we want to engage them in, Mr. Speaker. Because these are serious issues. But instead, nothing is said about that. Nothing, Mr. Speaker, except the normal gossip and misinformation, Mr. Speaker. People get up in the morning wishing that something will go bad in St. Lucia. They get up in the morning and they pray, what's going to go bad in St. Lucia? How will I attack Philip J. Pierre today? How will I attack Ernest Hiller today? How will I attack Richard Fredericks today? Get up in the morning and they dream for that to happen. They actually decide that they sit down and they'll make a lie. They will create a lie on Philip J. Pierre today. Just sit down and a friend of mine say, construct a lie, Mr. Speaker. That's what they do. Instead of dealing with the important issues, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, but we're not going to be moved. We're going to stay the course, Mr. Speaker. And I ask members to join me in supporting that resolution. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I beg that this House stands suspended until 2:30.
Other members, the question is that this House do stand suspended until 2:30 p.m. I now put the question, as many as of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as of a contrary opinion say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Sitting suspended.
Première session qui a constitué hier, comme je l'ai commencé bien tard, bon, 11h30 comme ça, mais en commencement, on a tenu un apologie, ça c'est speaker qui a considéré apologie avec Martinique, particulièrement pour des membres qui ont considéré. Effet apologie, c'était pour le commencement, ça c'est pour le commencement avec ça, et qui aussi fait un commencement qui va tenir des membres qui ne sont pas présents aujourd'hui, ça c'est membre parlement pour soulever fort, ça c'est honorable Dr. Kenny Anthony, et aussi membre parlement pour soulever haut, ça c'est honorable Alan Chasley, qui n'est pas en quelque sorte avec nous informé, ça c'est speaker qui est ça aussi un statement parce que le ministre du Commerce, honorable Emma Hippolyte, qui parlait à ce rapport à cette situation. Ça veut dire que le MSME, ça c'est le gouvernement a baillé assistance pour mon petit business avec moyen business à payer. Ça fait plus beau. Et aussi, même Panama, ça c'est même Panama pour Sud Cassou, ça c'est honorable Dr. Ernest Hilaire et aussi c'est pas le bien au frontière à cette situation ministre, ça c'est une qui a gagné ces différents appuis. Calypso, c'est complicité. Calypso, c'est maintenant aussi, toutes ces différences. Mais ce qui est plus important pour la première session, c'est une présentation, motion par le Premier ministre à cette situation VAT, la communauté dit à commencement qui a commencé en 1er septembre. Jean Simplici qui a moins de qualité VAT à sous l'argent qu'il a payé pour galvaniser avec plusieurs différents bagages.
Yes, very interesting session this morning. It started off, of course, you said, with the apologies given by the Speaker of the House for the representative of Beaufort South and also the leader of the opposition who are absent here today. The two papers were laid initially by the Minister of Commerce, Manufacturing, Business Development, Corporates and Consumer Affairs, that is Ms. Emma Hippolyte. She spoke glowingly on the MSME's loan grant facility, that is the loans offered to medium, micro and small enterprises. She spoke of the overwhelming response to that initiative by the ministry, saying that over 500 applications were received. She said it was very encouraging, the responses. She viewed it also as a government action in dealing with some of the issue of unemployment, noting that a percentage of the people who actually applied to this loan grant facility were actually unemployed people. And she said, it was really a dent. She thanked the St. Lucia Development Bank, which had contributed approximately $500,000 towards the small loan facility, and also the Caribbean Development Bank as well. As you mentioned, a second statement was made by the Minister of Tourism and Creative Industries, Minister Honorable Ernest Hilaire, and he was given glowing tribute in his capacity as one responsible for the Minister for Creative Industries in St. Lucia. He acknowledged the winners of the various carnival shows thus far who were present here this morning, including the Carnival Queen, Ms. Butcher, the Soca Monarch King, the Calypso King, and some of the other representatives, including the Intercommercial Calypso Queen. And he really spoke passionately, as Michael mentioned, on the importance of creative industries, and he pledged his government support to take the creative industries higher and give it priority. He said that his government will be giving great priority to the creative industries here in St. Lucia. Of importance, as you mentioned, what was very critical this morning, of course, was the Prime Minister's announcement, as he had mentioned in his policy statement during the 2023-2024 budgetary estimates debate, his promise to remove VAT on all building materials. And this will commence in September. Is it 1st of September?
Yes.
It will commence in September, and he said it was the government's way as well to incentivize even the construction industry to also give the lay people an opportunity to refurbish their homes, to put an extension on their homes for those whose families were being extended, and that VAT material. This VAT exemption would be on all building materials, specifically lumber, cement, galvanized steel, plywood, etc., etc. And it would be for a period of 2 years, commencing from the 1st of September this year.
Yes, nous bien contents qu'entre ces 500 mais il est apparu que l'année plus c'est pas motion pour ça là, il y a dévié, il y a discuter, ça c'est ça loi, ça c'est oui, ça c'est pour procéder, ça n'est pas créer des procédures of crime, ça c'est dit qui ça me fait avec ça fait une situation criminelle et aussi quand discuter et le premier ministre là a nous l'idée qui a discuté ça il a créé health and citizen security les vies, ça c'est l'argent que le gouvernement dit qui le gouvernement a amassé 2%, et bien 2% et demi l'argent pour payer pour sécurité et bien pour santé de ce pays. Et bien, mon cas quoi qui nous a discuté, ça c'est le déjeuner, nous avons dévié à 2h30, comme c'est ça? C'est 2h30?
2h30.
Avec moi supposé vous faire aussi.
C'est ça.
Et bien bon, et bien c'est là pour nous vous dévier à ce studio nous, merci un peu, nous échanger pour vivre ici et puis nous à 2h30, nous avons commencer.